Hello, welcome back to my channel, Chess Capture Chess. Today's video is going to be a learn the openings, and it's going to be the Scandinavian Defence. So this is a black opening. Last time out we went over a white opening, the Joe Bravo London. So hopefully today we can get some counters to another e4 playable move. So e4 and d5, this is Scandinavian Defence. I think many people have seen this, but I think from here it gets very difficult for how people actually know what to play. So, what are the core ideas and strategic concepts? So, it directly challenges a white centre, obviously, but this time, obviously, attacking it. So, not doing e5, attacking this part of the centre, but we're actually putting pressure immediately on this pawn. Obviously, this surrenders tempo, as normally you'll see this happen, and we'll go over this a lot of what happens after here. And normally, our typical plans would include Frenchettoing the bishop, so doing this, and also stuff like c6, and also queen c7, maybe depending on where we put that queen. For white, e takes d5, I would do in a flash, is what you should do. I wouldn't do anything silly, especially something like this, they can just take you, and again, something like this, they can maybe just push, and then you have to do something like this, and now it's a really good centre for black. So I would say pretty much just take, and yeah, so I'd also say after all of this, you'd have knight c3 to help after this. This is a tempo here, because now this queen has to move again, so I would be doing that as well. And then obviously d4 as well is a very solid move, so try and do that before the e5 push as well. So what are the key variations here? So obviously we know how after this capture we're going to have queen takes d5. Now here, if there was to play knight c3, sometimes you can play queen d8, and we'll go over the opening there, but the main line is queen a5. Queen a5, and the reason is you just can't attack this. I mean, it takes at least 2 moves to try and attack it, and by then you'll have a solid. I mean, I don't know why you'd want to try and attack with the A and B pawn on it. Now you can just play a bit of a normal game with the queen already developed. Obviously, we don't really like the queen being developed, but it's always fine just to have it out. And you now can just play a normal load of moves. So I'll just play a few moves like this, for example. And, then we got this. And we got quite a normal game now. Obviously, you've got to be wary of this. But then now we can maybe even play something like c6. They try and move the knight. We can now go back to c7, for example. So we can always retreat very well as well. That c6 is used very often. So there we go. Now I go all the way back to here, and we get this again. Another move is actually queen d6. I really don't like this one, but I will show you why. And it's flexible, but it just blocks this bishop in. Now, if you are going to Frenchetto, it could work, but it just feels like this is a kind of failed attempt to try and block stuff, in my opinion. I feel like, after this move, you can't entirely really push these out, because after this, you could queen trade, but, I mean, it just gets to this. For example, you can start getting pieces out, though, and maybe you can get something from it. I mean, it's very easy as well to attack this queen in a few moves. You can even just bring the knight there straight away, get this bishop out soon. It's not very hard to actually just play this, get this out. Something like this, for example, queen has to move, and we can already Frenchetto by then. But it's still definitely a way, so if you ever mouse slip to the next move, if you ever play queen d8, which is also just a quiet variation, and now you just play a normal game without the e pawn or d pawn. So I would say the best way is queen a5 in this position, but I would then say, if you don't like that, queen d8 is a solid option. I would say queen d6, if you know the theory behind it, that's fine. Now, knight f6. So, this is where, after this take here, we actually play this. So, this is where we do not take the pawn, and this is actually another very good way of playing this Scandinavian. So if you don't want to lose that tempo of playing queen takes d5, get this knight out, maybe this is the way, as obviously you're trying to just delay capturing this pawn, but obviously later try and capture it with a more minor piece. Now after that, you're going to see stuff like this as well. This is most play. you'd be very surprised to actually see this, because I mean we could end up with the same thing, but it's probably even better for black because there's less pieces. The queen will be better out as already. So that is now pretty much mostly the lines. If I say there was like a few other lines here, and the main one that actually I really like is the Scandinavian Gambit. It's called like the Blackburn thing. I've done it on the Gambit Scroll already, and I like stuff like this, as after this take you're developed, and it actually just seems like a really nice sort of, you know, way to actually get out. You can even play e5 here. You know, might even allow them to try stuff like this, for example, go really aggressive. So, what are the typical pawn structures and plans? So, black's plans, c6 and queen c7. So, when we say queen c7, it'll most likely be from stuff like after here. If they try and, you know, pressure you with the queen, you can even just make a move like this. If they try and move out the way to attack you, you can now retreat to queen c7, for example, there. So, Franchetto the bishop, I say this is a very good idea, because his pawn's going to struggle to get out without blocking this bishop and obviously being taken here. So, also you want to pressure that d4 pawn realistically with the bishops and knights, so kind of like a hyper modern sort of style, and e5 later on, and c5 breaks to challenge the center. White's plans, d4 you've got to develop quickly, and then after that you've got to have knight c3. Let's just go back to this sort of this part. Later on you're going to obviously have knight c3 sort of thing, bishop d2 after a while, and c4, not that, that's f4, c4 there, just to gain time into that center, and kingside castle for that space advantage, as all these pieces and pawns are going to be moving quite quickly and all over the place on the queen side. So, in my opinion, my thoughts on this opening, I'll do it from both perspectives. As a perspective from black, who is actually creating this opening, it's very solid. I feel like there could be maybe better openings, but I feel like this has, if it's the one that you want, like if you want to get that queen out, maybe be a bit aggressive, you know, with ideas like this could definitely be a good opening for you. It's played at top level, so it's very strong. As white, I think this is very good as well to counter with taking and playing this knight here. And after this, I think you've got a very good position to cause absolute, you know, havoc all over the place and actually just create, you know, sinister attacks here. And it's not very long, as you can see. We're already castled, and now it's going to take a bit of time for them to get the pawns and everything like that. So that is going to be it for today's video. That was the Scandinavian Defence. So hopefully you enjoyed that. So thank you, and bye bye.